I've shown you how to use concept maps as a study guide, but now we're going to use it for you to show me how much you learned in this course. And so the final project is simply you creating a concept map. As you read in the guidelines that I sent, you will be given a prompt, and from that prompt, which will be your center, you will create a concept map that includes anything that you learned throughout the semester. I would start by looking at the student learning outcomes that are on the syllabus and make sure you include any part of those that you can. There's stuff on there that we didn't spend much time on, but would be very applicable with this project itself. So I'm going to work through a part of a concept map. Again, if you haven't seen one before, if you don't remember the one that I put up earlier, or the one that I showed you as a way to study, I'm going to show you one, but I'll use the upper extremity so that I don't use up all of my final exam options. And so I thought I'd start my center. The prompt that is given to me that I'll find on Google Docs is an anatomy area, and let's go with olecranon process. If you're not sure where that is, I'll tell you that's the pointy part of your elbow. That's going to be the center of my map. That was what was on Google Docs for my prompt. And the things that I want to show, I need to show anatomy, I need to show injuries, I need to show perhaps SOAP note information or anything that's on the student learning outcomes. It might look something like this, and you can color code it if you want. I'm not going to right now, but you could if you wanted to. So let's say we wanted to do anatomy. All right. From that, we probably would have right here skeletal. And knowing that this is an anatomical landmark of the ulna, I would put that here, the ulna. I might, off anatomy, use the joint. It's part of the humero-ulnar joint. And from the joint, I could put range of motion. Range of motion, we could do flexion, elbow flexion. And from that, we could do norms, which would be, I think it's 0 to 130-ish, 120, 130. We could do extension. You understand where I'm going there. I could do ligaments and show. This one has a UCL and an RCL and annular and a bunch of them here, but let's just go with that. And from that, I might be able to say resist valgus force. All right. Or I could do, yeah, I think that's fine right there. I could do any other connective tissue. Let's say, and here's where I want to go with this one. So we'll say connective tissue, or I'll say soft tissue. Oops. And then you're going to put anything that's relative to the olecranon process there. And one of the huge things that is relative to the olecranon process is olecranon bursa. Olecranon bursa. So now I can start getting into the injuries a little bit and show you how those tie in. So I know that olecranon bursa has a bursitis for an injury. And I also know that there are different types. You can have acute, you can have chronic, you could have septic. For each one of those, I could go a step further and go with the MOI, key signs and symptoms. I could do management. And in this case, management we're going to see is refer. Key signs and symptoms would be red, hot, swollen, low-grade fever, MOI, it's an infection. All right. And you could go many, many different ways with this. If it's the septic bursitis, I could see what that amounts to in the CPT code. No, that's not a CPT code. That would be a ICD-10 code. And whatever number that comes out to. I don't know what it is without looking it up. But you can see how you can take this and really go off in a lot of directions. But what I want to see when I'm looking at this, I will start by looking at your center. And then what I want to see is any spider web that's coming off that. How relevant is it to the electron process, and how relevant are they to each other? So showing, as you can see here, in just 5 minutes or so, we've got quite a bit of information coming out, and I should be able to follow it to see how organized it is. And this is just the beginning. I could go longer with this, but this is what your concept map needs to look like. I hope that helps.